Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity. My name is Minna Crichton. I'm the narrator of my video clips. And I'm also the original individual who's actually doing everything in regards to my journey personally and professionally on social media. Today I thought I'd continue with the love triangle that I'm actually stuck in at the moment. It also in reference to what I've been going through historically, and also linked to my court cases and the New Age law and why it's in process, and why I have ended up where I am today in a trafficking ring, because there's a trafficking in persons case. So this picture here, I'm actually the plaintiff, and the defendant are the people that I have some I've pressed criminal charges with, and the others are still in the civil, but it is linked to everything to do with myself on my private life and also my court case. At the beginning, I had no idea I was subject to a global scam. I had no idea, although I knew what I was going through in the moment was not good, was not safe. Like I just knew I wasn't, but I couldn't. There were things like your words against theirs, but you're just confident in your own mind and in your own heart that something's radically not right. But it is a privacy, starting from a privacy breach that ended up being home invasion, and then all the other legislation involving category 4 laws. It's like hostage taking, and everything like that, like those laws that I've already gone through on the other clips. So I am actually the original in everything. So I'm basically representing myself in court, and I'm also the one, I'm the one on defense against the opposition behind the scene. But the warfare has been by force, and people, the misuse of devices definitely that is what they have used. But it is a global game involving everybody, even the government and people globally. So the end result for the originals, they are actually being used for a pecuniary advantage, okay? That is whoever the perpetrators behind the scene. There may be several layers of perpetrators, but their whole idea is to do very serious criminal indictable offences, is what it's really called. But they're doing it in a way where they're working through other people, and then they're using the misuse of devices. But then they're also using the members of the public, anybody in public who would participate, to commit the crimes for them, or be a spy, or be an informant. So someone is going around telling them what to do, and then they'll do it. Others are doing it because maybe there's money involved, someone's paid them to. It's actually really, 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 really serious. As the years have gone by, my mindset is like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be alive today. And that is the truth. So eventually the originals end up buried alive in their truths, okay? What I have found historically is that people have committed the crime and then leave the crime scene And then other people come on the crime scene, they commit the crime, and then they leave the crime scene. Others leave because they know they've broken the law, and so they go on a run and go and hide. But then it doesn't stop. Somebody always seems to be continuing the same patterns, and that is what I've been subject to historically. So now legally by law I have that right to actually clear all that legally in court, and lucky for me I'm pretty experienced, so I'm just basically using what I have learned while I was working in my occupation for myself. All right. Secret society system that I've been subject to are breaking the laws just by the misuse of devices, recording every word that I'm saying. So you end up like in an environment where you feel exiled and isolated. Eventually no one talks to you because they all know who you are, and you've been completely controlled by other people and you don't know who it is. But it is a spiritual warfare. Spiritually it is a spiritual warfare, especially when you're dealing with forces. But the best way to describe it is that the warfare is spiritual if you're a Christian, but once your privacy is actually gone, it's not spiritually anymore. It means other people have retrieved all your information, and you're in a incarceration set of circumstance. And so now you are even more in danger now before, because you're not in an environment where you are free to do whatever you want to do without getting into trouble, or somebody just picking on your flaws or trying to set you up for something. So I'm just trying to explain from my point of view of my personal experience of what I've gone through. So basically you're dealing with constructive interference versus destructive interference. Okay, so a destructive interference is when there's clear evidence, people you do all, like, I've done all this work, all this positive work, all this brilliant ideas, putting my projects together, and then someone steals it and I have nothing to show for because somebody else has stolen it. Okay, so if I didn't know what I was doing, if I wasn't being consistent with everything I've done, I wouldn't be able to contest everything now in court, which I can. So I like to use this as like just to describe what the legislation talks about being locked out, striked out, and what it means to us as an individual. But a lockout system is where you may be locked out. Like, you may be like just, minding your own business. It's old school, and like you don't know what's going on around the world because you don't care. You just want to mind your own business and just live your life peacefully. But the reality is anyone can be locked out. Anyone in New Zealand can be locked out from being able to use the court system, or even just people able to intervene. So when you're in a lockout situation like I have been, people are secretly and unlawfully accessing your home when you're not there. They are, and to this day, every day, I know people are doing that just by breaking all the laws. So it's actually an unlawful entry, but they do everything secretly because they're stealing. Okay, and because they know they've gone too far, the end result is they want to eventually eliminate the individual that is the originals, so then they can't fight back, and they are deleting evidence, and that's what I found. So around here, all this red here, if you look, is all the legislation. I mean, I couldn't fit every single criminal law on this post, but I just put some of the main things that is actually secretly going in there of people that may represent my court cases behind the scenes, secretly breaking these laws and keeping me enslaved. And then we have the people in the middle secretly stealing. They are secretly stealing, okay, though you don't know who it is. And so if you find your things go missing, or come back, because this started while I was working for my employer. I mean, after years and years and years of that, people doing that to me, you can only get stronger, and you just know. I just know, and so I have learned to live with it, but I haven't stopped fighting back. But eventually, it is money laundering, a money laundering scheme or scam or Ponzi scheme or whatever they want to call it, and it's definitely fraud, and breaches are involved. So these people are actually called den of thieves. Right, so we're dealing with serious violation of privacy breaches. So there's definite invasion of privacy, and I just used these pens the different colors, because that is what they're actually doing to individuals who they are actually going to dehumanize. Okay, so they have done that to me. They have dehumanized me while I was working for my employer, which makes my employer accountable for some pretty serious criminal charges. But their whole idea is to separate individuals into a separate category. Obviously, I'm in a category where I'm being used like a generator, and then they've just taken turns. That's what they've done. They've taken turns using me and then abandoned me. So from my point of view and from my eyes, I'm dealing with a competitor who wants to win everything by being invisible and breaking every single law that protects an individual. So I'm the person that is visible in my personal space. I'm not invisible, and the people I speak to is not invisible, but the competitor is invisible, spying. And the problem is you don't know who it is, especially if it's a global game. It's even more serious. So every single person in your environment that is an original, you will all go through what I'm going through, maybe a different set of circumstances, but you're all at risk of being attacked the way I have. But it's real. Okay, it's a real game, and people do get murdered. Okay, so I've just drafted this one up today because usually I just get ideas in my mind, and I thought, oh yeah, okay, I'll put that through together. But this project does involve years and years of people secretly recording me by using the hub decks, the call centers, the phone, and me being in my home. So they've secretly recorded me, and using misuse devices. And then when I actually go out to the different organisations at the counter, they've got their people in the waiting room recording you. So there's always someone recording you for the opposition, but they're actually studying me and just listening to my conversation so they can find out my next move. So they are glued. Okay, so the enemy is glued because they have recorded me. That is exactly what is going on, and that is why I haven't been able to go forward. And they are using your immediate family. Okay, but you've got to keep in mind that this has been going since I worked with my employer. So other people had already done this. They've just used different people each time, but your family does eventually end up being used against you, and then they too can't talk to you because for whatever reason, because some of them probably gets into trouble and with the law, and and some people are actually using the law to stop people from talking to you, why they don't end up telling you the truth or looking at, that's not fair. But it's a complete invasion of privacy. Now this one here, I put eat my words. So what they've done is, like, historically what they've done to me, they've recorded me, and then they've basically done things opposite to make me eat my words. Like they've gone ahead and staged my environment like a set-up environment to either test me or just to make me do the opposite of what I said. So that's how brutal, how cruel, how evil what they're doing. So the minute you feel your confidence, they do the opposite. They're basically making you eat your words, and it's just another way of killing somebody slowly. And then this one here, this is my lapse, but I put that there because during the process of what I've gone through, I've had people put words in my mouth. They know that I'm being recorded, or wherever I am, I'm being surveillanced and recorded. So people in your space could be putting words in your mouth, and then, without thinking, and you just answer it without thinking, because they put you on the spot. So that is a setup, but this is what this project does. Okay, they're actually creating evidence against you by you participating. So they put you on the spot. Okay, and so I've known all these things, but I'm pretty onto it. And then they get offended because I'm a bit of I am an assertive person, and I'm pretty straight up. And I was like that at work. I have worked with people while I was working at work, trying to put words in my mouth or accuse me of something or make me to do something on the spot. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, because I am an assertive person, and part of it's because I know, I'm experienced, and I know my rights as an individual. Today I'm going to be I felt in my heart today to actually talk more about the love triangle that I'm going through at the moment. Is currently to do with Henry and myself, because it is my in the moment set of circumstances, and that I have found in the past, no matter how private I am or how private Henry is, the public deception is really bad, and has gone really bad. Then when I realize everyone in government is doing the inciting and letting everybody, playing games with our love life and our private life, and then everyone is watching who I don't know what they want to call it, but it's really serious, and that's the reason why I made the decision to do everything in the moment publicly, in all fairness to myself, because Henry and I are actually the originals, and we are both private, and I had to denounce the lies because everything actually do link to my court case. These women do link to my court cases, which makes it's a global game too, so it makes those involved in public office liable for treason, and those laws are still active here in New Zealand. So I was just going through the legislation, and the new legislation is changed now, and the one we're looking at here, let's bring it up. Just give me a sec. Because this is the new criminal process. So basically this new system, I'm just going to keep an eye on my time. All right. So basically on this new system, okay, it's not like the old system. So it's set out where your privacy is already gone, right? So this is the new system now at the courts. And I'm going through that at the moment. And I am the first person in New Zealand that's apparently gone this far in the legal system, according to the laws, okay? So I'm just, because, before we used to be able to ring the police, and then they will investigate or press criminal charges against the offender, whoever that offender may be. But they haven't done that to me. And I have been endlessly ringing them, but they haven't investigated. They haven't. So what I'm saying. What I'm going through is very likely you will go through it yourself. So I've actually gone through the legislation, and now I know why that legislation has come about versus the old legislation. Okay. This system is actually set out where people are specifically categorized, and then you will go through what I'm going through. always at risk of being attacked, no intervention, and being used for a pecuniary advantage. And it's a global, okay? It's a global. You're now not just in New Zealand, you're now a global target, okay? So they have used me for that. So these laws actually apply. These like harbouring or concealing terrorists. So I have been a concealed person, and so has Henry, okay? So what else I've gone through, I'm just going through the legislation. Oops. I'm just going to talk bluntly about how the court system actually works, okay? So my court case now clearly reveals there's definite 100% judicial corruption, okay? My role, if you've watched my other clips, I used to do jury trials, depositions, so I know exactly what is absolutely not right and what is wrong, and my mentality is still the same as if I was working in the courts doing serious violent offences, okay? I am the victim in everything that I've gone through, but I have not found what they've done to me. I have not accepted it as being normal, but absolutely illegal. So a judiciary corruption usually means a judge or a registrar or a deputy registrar, and the laws are there because so it will, so then it stops partiality, people being, exactly what I've gone through. The laws are there to separate our culture, our beliefs, because that means nothing to the law, okay? What means to the law is what you have done, as far as if you broke the law, like you're the offender. That is why, that is what the law is for, is to deal with the offender, and then, versus the victim. All right, I've actually brought out some of the laws from the new legislation here that, nobody knows how to use it. That is what I have found, which is even more worse, because what is the point of having laws if no one knows how to use it? And I'm talking about the people in court. Like, a lot of them didn't believe me that I've gone this far until I actually showed them the documents. And they couldn't understand why my court case took so long until they saw the documentations in the paper, and now I'm on social media telling everybody. But this is the new age, new world system that I'm going through, and this is where I've got all these laws that now exist in the system. But these are all category 4 cases, and what I have found that is that if a person's been dehumanized like I have, which is a very serious case, you will end up going through what I'm going through, but it's worse because you don't know who it is, because now they're getting different agencies handling you or treating you like, I don't know what they want to call it, but they don't show themselves. They don't. You don't know who the heck they are. They do everything through the misuse of devices and the trafficking of other human beings in your space. Pardon me. They call themselves agents, apparently. It took me ages to realize what was going on, because I was I'm more old school in my way of thinking. I'm thinking, okay, nothing's changed much, but something's radically wrong. But I got this from that legislation, and this is what they call themselves agents, but the law clearly says here that if secret societies actually do what they're doing, what they're doing to me, warfare, stuff they're warring against me all the time, and I'm minding my business, and they've used relationship scam to take over and steal off me and use me for very serious things. But they can be charged $1 million according to the law, okay? The problem is with they put these law in place, and if they don't investigate when we ring the cops, what's the point of having this? Okay, so if the laws don't work, you'll end up I mean, the reality is, from my point of view, we're all going to be just sitting ducks while other people steal off us. And this is our government's responsibility, is our public welfare. I got this here from there too. So treason clearly is still a crime. But now the court system is set out where, people from overseas are paying people within the courts or within the government to participate in global games involving myself. I'm evidence to it. So what's the point of having this if that's happening secretly? All right? This is really serious. This is New Zealand laws here we're talking about. So I'm just going to see what else have I got. Okay, so this here I got from there, and this is like being a party to any other crime outside New Zealand. I have found these women, because like the most recent one is to do with me and Henry Cavill. Okay, that's why I thought this is a really good example to have evidence on social media to actually prove that this is happening, because this has happened with Rob, this has happened with Pastor King, and with Dan Brady. Okay, but people have used different people have been in my space using me, and then abandoned me. Okay, and they're stealing too, and I know exactly what they're stealing. So incite to mutiny is a public, what's happened with me. I mean, for it to be actually working for secret societies to use our individual, did you hear what I said? An individual, for money laundering and for their scams, they're taking turns. They have to be able to incite mutiny globally, and that's definitely happening indirectly or directly. So we're dealing with integrity versus corruption. And this year's actually 10 years imprisonment. I thought I might as well just start with how Henry and I met. Okay, so we met in July 2023, and I wasn't actually looking for anyone. He found me, but he sent me a notification. And I had told myself I'm never gonna do online relationship, and plus I was so full on with life and my court cases. I had no intention of actually getting involved with anyone online. But that's how we first met, but I didn't know who he was in the beginning. Okay. Anyway, he was like quite forceful, and he said, he said, text me back, blah blah blah. But I didn't do anything for like a few days because I was busy at that time, and he kept being annoying and said, text me back, hurry up, do this, blah blah blah. And I didn't know who he was, and I just thought, another annoying person. And I was like, but he kept texting me and like trying to persist to make me, do what he wanted me to do. And I just thought, oh yeah, why not? Because, I thought, well, I'll just go with it. And but I didn't know who he was at all. Okay, I saw what they said he was, but I didn't really kind of like let it take on board, and then our conversation just led from that. But the reason why I only pursued with him was because maybe about a year ago, I didn't know who he was in the beginning, but I did get some kind of an inclination one day when I was watching one of his movies called Uncle, and it was just something about him. I don't know what it was, but I just have ways of just discerning stuff, but sometimes I can't explain things until later on I realize, oh, okay, that's why that like sometimes I can't explain what I know, but I can't put it into words. And it was just one of those moments with him, but I never thought anything of it, and then I just didn't think about it anymore. But that's where I first saw him, was in his movie Uncle one day about a year before it actually happened. And then I found him. Oh, he found me, sorry. And then as we kept talking for a little while, and I was just like, oh yeah, because I'm very forward and very placid. So I was always like straight out with him. I wasn't like, I'm the type of person, I don't beat around the bush. I'm a pretty straight up person and get to the point, so he knows exactly where I'm at. But he was persistent, and then he eventually I think he kind of got, do you know who I am? And because like when I answer him, I'm just like very, very, very blunt and just like, oh yeah, And then he goes, do you know who I am? And then I go, well, I didn't really know who he was, because I kind of hadn't synced in, and I was just going with it. I wasn't looking to fall in love with anybody, that's for sure. And then he just then I did a research on him, and then it hit me that it was him that I had this specific inclination in my heart about, but I didn't know why. It was so, and then I realized who he was, and I was like, oh, okay. And with that, I thought, okay, he was okay to talk to, and just be friends. I thought that'll be nice. We'll just be friends. And then time just went on, and he kind of he's quite tenacious, like he's quite forceful, and something we're both very similar with. When we know something, when we set our mind on something, we're both like that. And I'm exactly the same. When I feel right about something, nothing can change my mind. I've got to do it. And but he's like that too. So before we know it, other things happened that actually confirmed to me that he was okay. I don't want to say too much, because some things are quite sacred, and I'm not in a position, or like I don't feel ready to release that kind of information. The thing is that I just wanted to get to the point that our relationship was definitely real. I didn't know anything about his culture. I didn't know anything about how the celebrity world works. But I did find out quite quickly that everything about it was absolutely illegal and wrong. With how easy it was for imposters, all these things I had to learn. I felt there was been just a lot of learning process in this relationship with him. But he did something that kind of really impressed me publicly, and with that I thought, I was quite impressed that he actually did that, and then we just kind of just mucked around, and I thought he's just going through a phase. But I was quite like adamant and quite straight up with him, and because we talked about everything, and I was like, I told him, I was quite forward, and always, I'm very straight up. I always let them know that where I'm at. And I thought we could be just friends, I don't mind that, because I have a very good judgment of good character, of good people. I know that, and I discern him as one of those kind of people and safe to talk to. So our relationship just built, and it was quite clear to me that he had fallen madly in love with me, and I too started to feel the same way, and eventually I did. And then we just I had to be crazy in love to say yes to a blood oath when I hadn't even met him personally, but I had other confirmation spiritually why I felt safe with him, and that's another story in its own. I won't talk about that, but I did do a blood oath with him, and everyone knows oath, it's really important to me, and he was already serious, but he had made a written promise too. His intention was to actually make sure that he doesn't lose me, because he wanted to marry me. That's the reason. He said he's never done anything like that with anyone ever, but he did that with me, and that was just between me and him. And for like 6 months we were pretty private, getting to know each other, and I was just loving it. I was just loving everything about him. I was loving just having that access to his heart and getting to know his personality, and then me telling him myself and stuff like that. But we just clicked, and so without even thinking, when he told me to do the blood oath, I just did it without, because I was just so madly in love with him by that time, because I knew I wanted to marry him because he was always straightforward about wanting to marry me. And I knew, oh yeah, I think I want to marry you too. And then so I did the blood oath, and then I said to him, oh, you know what? When they find out that we are actually talking and being serious in all our plans, they're going to sabotage us and they're going to steal you. He just laughed at me and thought that was very funny, but I was correct. Is exactly what happened. And that is why privacy laws are really, really serious. Because once people have access to everything that you're doing, they can do whatever they want in the middle, and that's exactly what I have gone through. All right. Now, I've actually denounced his relationship with Natalie, and Natalie is linked to my court case, and so is the other females that I have mentioned. But they're also linked to the government, okay? And then they're linked to my family. So it's definitely not family violence. Okay, what I believe God has allowed to happen is actually resurfacing everything that has happened going back to 2010 and how it actually happened. I knew something like this was happening to me back then, but I didn't know what to do about it. So there was like several perpetrators operating secretly, and then here I am minding my own business in a very prominent job working for the courts. Okay. So I've actually had to denounce some of her statements publicly because they're not in a relationship, and then they had pictures of him and the baby. The baby's actually a doll, and what concerns me the most was the fact that of how long ago these were taken. Henry said way before the South Korea incident. Okay. So they were taken well ahead of like maybe a year or two before they're actually using it. So it tells me that somebody has clearly had some plan, or this may be planned. I mean, it can't be a coincidence. That's and because he's actually been in hospital while all this is happening. Okay. But it was making the public make me look like I'm the other woman, and she's the victim. She's not the victim. And the ring that she's actually wearing is, they were engaged. This happened before when they were actually going out. This is Henry's words. They were actually engaged, but then he caught her cheating, and that's why he broke it off. But the engagement ring, and that was when they were actually going together. And Henry said Natalie wanted to go for a walk to pretend what it's like having a child. Okay, I mean, who does that? But obviously, somebody knew she was going to do that because they took photos. He didn't. He was actually shocked when I showed them to him, because my public reputation is more important to me than money. And so that's been our biggest issue in our relationship, is all the public deception about him and doing all these things publicly, blah, blah, blah. And it's been really tormenting for me because I know it's not true, but then this is going on the surface, and that's why we made a decision to denounce everything, which I am. Okay, so what I've been subject to with the actual stalking, people are still coming into my home when I'm gone, okay? And they are listening to everything I'm saying. And the neighbours and the people in this apartment are all involved. Well, not everyone, but some of them are, because they are being used. But the people that they're actually using against me are the women. Are the actual women, like this, there's rumours going out that he's got a secret lover, and Henry, I just stress him out. He hates it when I even ask him about what's going on. He hates it. He just gets mad at me. But this is like a thorn in my flesh, and I've had to confront him because I need to hear the truth. So that's why I'm denouncing everything, because whoever's behind the micromanaging, they are using these substitutes. Whether she's been used as the person to animate me or deter the public, living my life, pretending, that's illegal. They've done this to me historically, and I've had enough. And I want criminal charges pressed against everyone. That's the whole idea why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because one, it's rude stealing somebody else's life. Two, you know, a global game versus one single woman. Disgusting. Shame on yous. But I think everyone gets the drift of what's going on. They've used my family to keep me hostage. They've used other members of my family. I know that they've been used. Why they can't be normal with me. But there's several perpetrators involved, so it's very likely that they too are being animated. And then there's another person animated, and then there's another person animated, and then the people that are actually making the money are the thieves. Whatever it is, whether it's to make money, movie ideas, and I know that they've stolen off me, like tax invasion, and I know exactly who's doing it, and I can prove it. So basically being buried while they've done that. So I'm doing everything in the moment, and it doesn't matter how private Henry and I are. They are reading our texts. They do know our plans. And I thought, well, you know, I think we have better chance of survival actually, you know, bringing everything to the light. And, you know, that actually weakens the opposing allies, you know, operating in the dark, because they're doing everything secret. There might as well be no laws with what they've done. But it is a global game, and historically they have stolen off me and used me for relationship scams. Just one more thing for the record. My concern also, linking to the government and the court cases, okay, I think there's I haven't actually counted up in total, but I'll do more video clips soon about my court cases, because this is, you know, I just have to prioritize what's more important, involving my safety in that, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing and just dealing with me and Henry's safety first before I carry on with my court case. But what is actually happening, what concerns me is there's 18 judges already involved in my case. Maybe that's not even including all the judges that I haven't counted up in the judiciary review. I mean, that's awfully a lot of judges, and there's, you know, they haven't given me a case officer, so they have had no respect for my privacy. No one that's handled my documents have had respect. The thing is, I don't know who's receiving it. You know, the whole idea of what they're doing is so then the real thieves don't get caught. So it's like shift the blame, and then it allows one person to get away from the crime scene, and then another person gets caught. That is my set of circumstance historically. But just going back to the Natalie incident with the pushchair, well, they've deceived the public that she'd gone to Australia. Henry said that the whole Australia incident, it's to do with a movie, and he's not in contract with them, you know, since he's been sick, or he's not in contract with anybody, so he's not accountable to anybody. He's just I don't know, he's just making decisions about that between me and him at the moment, but because he's not in contract with anyone, no one should actually be in our private business. But I was concerned about the deception. I mean, those photos that was taken with Natalie, you know, and Henry when he was actually in, they're saying she's in Australia, and then they're coming up, you know, in the park. They were seen in a park. I mean, all that was prearranged and premeditated. But you know, Henry didn't know that they were going to try and murder him since he'd been sick. So that's a real concern. Okay, the deception's already set out, it's already planned and plot, and I have not been able to go forward. Yeah. But it's definitely micromanaging organised crimes. And the reality is Henry Cavill and myself are actually the victim, okay? And that's the truth. And we're both being animated, and a deviation is going on to somebody else. And there's definite personal victimization, and we both have not consented to it. I mean, I know a lot of people have been involved, even my family, and maybe they're all scared that they're going to get into trouble. But the thing is there's several perpetrators, okay? All the originals, family members, and everyone's all involved, but it's premeditated. There's probably about another 3 layers of perpetrators on top of them. Hope you'll get the picture. But what I am describing right now is the New Age Commonwealth illegal system, and there might as well be no laws if you end up in my situation. And you could class it as suicidal pact, because that is their intention. Their intention is either you commit suicide, or or that someone will murder you. And then the women that they're actually using, they are actually grooming them. They're trying to deceive the public, like she's the favor, so everyone will vote if there's voting behind it. So that is why the relationship kind of like they exalt the person that's being used as to animate, and somebody else. They're living off other people's energy. So that is exactly what they're doing. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.